I am James Swanwick. Welcome to the Alcohol-Free Lifestyle Podcast. I love it when past clients show up and tell me that they're 2 years alcohol-free or 3 years alcohol-free or 1 year alcohol-free. It's incredible. And today we're going to be talking to one of those clients, Janna Swales. And this is a unique episode, actually, because I recorded the following episode live on one of our Project 90 client calls. Project 90 is the program that I run that helps folks like you quit drinking for at least 90 days and get long-term power over alcohol, whether that means quitting forever or whether it means quitting for at least 90 days and doing moderation. The idea or the goal at the end of it is that you have ultimate power over alcohol for the rest of your life. So you get to listen in now on a pre-90 call. This is one of the, this is like we do, well, there are 6 available group calls per week inside of that program, and you're about to listen to one of those 6 calls. You're going to hear existing Project 90 clients ask our past Project 90 client about her experience being alcohol-free. You'll get a feel for the, the culture that we have in there, which is very fun and aspirational. This is not an AA meeting where everyone's talking about how much their life sucks and they're navel-gazing and looking down. We try to be very uplifting and positive and friendly. So I hope that comes across in the audio you're about to listen to. If you would like to get my daily email, I do write a daily email. It's 365 emails a year. There's a description in the description of this podcast. You'll see a link to my guide, alcoholfreelifestyle.com/guide. If you click on that, you will then get access to my daily email. You'll also get my guide, which is the process that I give to my Project 90 clients on how to get long-term power over alcohol. So if you want that free guide, the link is in the show notes. And what else do we talk about? I'm not sure. I'm just going to play it, I think. I think that's it. Yeah, details are in the description. Here we go. Have a listen to a Project 90 group call where we celebrate Janna Swales, 2 years alcohol-free. Here we go. All right, we are doing a P90, a Project 90 group call. So if you're listening on the podcast, welcome everyone. We've got Project 90 clients here. Anyone want to say hello? Say hello, shout out.
Hello.
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 Hey. Hi.
All right, and today we are celebrating and interviewing one of our Project 90 alumni members who joined Project 90 2 years and 1 day ago. And now she's 2 years alcohol-free. And her name is Janna. Am I allowed to say your last name, Janna? I am actually, aren't I? I am.
Sure.
Janna Swales from the Yukon in Canada, which is amazing. And Janna has actually been interviewed on the podcast previously. I'm going to share my screen here with our Project 90 clients. You can see here, episode 23 of the Alcohol-Free Lifestyle was called Janna Swales, Quitting Alcohol May Have Saved My Life. And it was released on, when was it? It was about a year ago. Let me just go back here. What was the actual date? August 11th, 2020. And now here we are again of 2021, and Janna is 2 years alcohol-free. So first of all, round of applause for Janna for being 2 years alcohol-free, everyone. Great job. If you're listening on the podcast, that's the sound of 9 people clapping their hands for Janna. Hey, Janna, why don't you just introduce yourself a little bit? Tell us a little bit about who you are, where you're from, what you do, how you came to join Project 90 2 years ago, and what life looks like 2 years. I'll just give you the floor to just kind of share whatever you want to share, and then we can do some Q&A from there.
Well, that sounds good. I have to say, I'm really pleased to have done the pandemic alcohol-free. I think that was just a wonderful side benefit from this whole thing, is not to have had that ordeal on my plate as well. So that was just a positive upside of the whole thing. But I live in the Yukon next to Alaska so it's not snowy all the time. It's right now it's really hot actually. And I was saying one of the things that I was proud about is about 10 minutes before this call started, I was screaming into my driveway with my truck with a camper on the back, just getting back from the lake. I'm all sunburned at weekend. with my son. It was really fun. But in my work life, I run a museum, and I think about all the big questions of history. Who are we? What does it all mean? All of those kind of things. How do we make sense of place and sense of self? And how I came across P90 2 years ago, I am endlessly grateful for this group, because I was saying just before that I really like the idea that I'm an awesome person and I want to be even more awesome. And I like that thread that runs through this. I think that that's a wonderful, fulfilling way of thinking about your future trajectory. And that was true for me at the time, but it was becoming less true. My trajectory was changing, and it was changing for the worse because of alcohol. And I wasn't quite sure what to do. I had a few stressful life things going on, and I wasn't dealing with things very well. And through happenstance, I came across two things at the same time. One was this P90, which I joined, and the other was cold water swimming. And both of those continue. So both of those are kind of a two-year-old thing that I've been doing now.
And what were your drinking habits a couple of years ago, Janna? Like, what were you drinking? How often? How much?
I would say I was drinking something most days, and generally I'd have some kind of a hangover once a week, which means I'd be kind of drunk at least once a week. Hangover worthy drinkiness, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. And how was that compromising different areas of your life?
Well, as I was saying to the fellow I was just talking to when we were in the rooms, I did a whole bunch of stuff in the last week and a half. An unbelievable amount of very awesome stuff. And some part of that would have had to not happen to fit drinking in, for sure, because it did take up space. And now that space is taken up with doing really cool, fulfilling things. I was saying at the museum, we now offer open air cockpit rides on a vintage biplane, which has just come together in the last week and a half. And I think the amount of insurance and rigmarole to get something like that off the ground, that would have taken longer if I had to do some drinking along the way.
What have you, in hindsight, 2 years down the line, look back on when you were drinking? Why do you think you were drinking the way you were drinking back then?
That is a good question. Why do I think I was drinking? I have learned how to prioritize better. What I would do, I think, is I would have really a difficult time ranking one thing over another or kicking something off the list. And if I could come up, it's kind of a passive aggressive way of being, right? If I could come up with some way of not being able to do something instead of directly saying I couldn't do it, then that was, I guess, what alcohol gave me. Is it gave me a little break because I couldn't make a break for myself, which is so sad. I'm really glad I'm not doing that anymore. I want to sleep on a Sunday. Like now I just do sometimes if I feel like it. But before I had to have a horrible headache or something, or else I would not. So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Was there a particular incident, or were there incidents that made you come to the realization, I've either A, got a drinking problem, or B, I want to get this drinking situation under control?
Yeah, well, I think my social circle became kind of more centered around drinking than it was around socialness. Certainly some of my friendships have changed in the last 2 years. Dave says I'm loving myself more. Yeah, or just, yeah, totally. Sorry, what was the question again?
I guess I was asking were there incidents, or was
Oh,
there an incident or incidents that kind of got you to the point where you wanted to take action around your drinking?
yeah, totally. Okay, so it was like it was a social thing. It was a work thing too. I think it's initially very awkward to not drink at work things when people are drinking. You feel like you're gonna ruin the work deals or the ideas or some kind of thing. So I found that before this group impossible to think about. Like, how would I avoid that with drinking? There's other places in the country where drinking is a big part of work and social lives, and the Yukon is one of them. I think we're like the number one drinkers in Canada. um, and so, and then also I had some other things, like I had some relationship problems going on, and my son's dad had very recently had a horrible accident at the skate park, and he'd broken his neck and his face. And also within a week of that, I rolled my car and my dog died. So I had some horrible things going on. And that's what I mean. Like, the trajectory was obviously changing the wrong way. And all of a sudden, kind of suddenly. And it turns out quitting drinking and swimming in really cold lakes is good for you.
Yeah. Was that the point where you saw maybe a Facebook ad for me and Project 90, and that's where you reached out and where you chose to get accountability and support and coaching around your drinking for the 90 days? Was it around that time? Was that like the catalyst, or were they the catalysts?
Yeah. Well, you have a magnificent memory. It's funny because I had always wondered, I think, and I've said this to you before, that, do phones listen to you and target ads or whatever kind of thing? And I'll be endlessly grateful to my phone or to Facebook or whatever it was, because I had been just talking to my friend, and then suddenly my phone showed me a picture of you. And I was like, okay, let's do
it. Oh, good. Oh, good. So yeah, maybe I was listening. It's this technology or something. Like you were talking about, maybe I should quit alcohol. It's like, James is in your phone.
Yeah. No, that was just great. Yeah.
And then what happened? I mean, it was 2 years ago now. What happened during those 90 days that really cemented you making this choice to now be 2 years alcohol free? Because it's 2 years alcohol free today, or at least yesterday. What happened during those 90 days that turned it around for you? Because some people can do the 90 days and then go, all right, I'm going to go back to drinking, or I'll do some moderation. Like, what happened during those 90 days that made it be, okay, I'm just going to continue on this alcohol-free path?
I think I'm a fairly motivated, driven person, and I did buy into the proposition of, why don't you see if you can be more driven and achieve more without alcohol? It's just that what if proposition. Hey, what if you just take this out of the equation, see what happens? And I just like how that equation's going. So I am sticking with it. I think because I'm thinking about it that way, I never even want to drink. Like, it's not one of the choices of fun things to do anymore. And it used to be like the choice of things to do oftentimes, but now, I tend not to think about it at all. And if anything, I think about it, and I have a bit of a negative feel about it. Like, I'm like, yeah, I don't know why I would want to do that. Like your attractively packaged poison that you talk about. I'm like, yeah, actually, that is kind of a weird thing to do. I can do other fun things with friends. And I was saying earlier that I still sometimes do find that conversation hard. I think if somebody surprises me, they're like, hey, I brought some wine for us. Isn't that great? And then there's an awkward moment, right? It's like, because I don't want to upset people. but I'm getting better at that too. And it just happened this weekend, actually. So I could be on this call and have failed like the day before the 2 years, which would have been too bad. But that's what my friend said. She brought a bottle of wine on this camping trip. She's like, Janna, isn't this great? This is going to be so nice. And I was like, oh, yeah, it's totally going to be nice. You have that. I have this other stuff. I stopped drinking a couple years ago. And but still, I find it a bit awkward. I just wish people would not do that, but whatever, they do.
So if you were to, just before we hit record here on this podcast episode, and this is for the podcast listener, we've got about 12 Project 90 clients on the call now, on a Zoom call. This is how we're recording this. We did a little exercise where I invited our clients to write down all the reasons why they were awesome this past week, like to be their own public relations company. And then people spent a few minutes writing those things down. And then we went into little breakout rooms and we shared with each other why we're awesome. So let me ask a question to you, Janna. Why have these last 2 years been awesome for you? Like, why are you awesome being alcohol free?
The main thing is to do with truly enjoying myself more. That's just a general observation. And I've always enjoyed myself. I'm an interesting, fun person, and I like that about myself. But certainly, one of the concerns with quitting drinking is I thought maybe my creativity would go away. I think I grew up thinking, Kerouac and the Beatniks, you got to do all the drink and drugs or whatever and have a typewriter and write novels or but it didn't. It's gotten better and more thoughtful. So I enjoy that, and I continue to enjoy it more. I guess I used to always feel torn between work and my family, and now I feel like I can do both well, which is a really balancing feel. Brene Brown has a note. She says, mind the gap. So here's where your dreams or goals are, or where you think you should be. And here's where you are now. And just keep an eye on that gap and don't let it get too wide. And I think I had let it get wide, which for a time I tried to solve with drinking, and that didn't work very well. But now it seems like the gap is shrinking, and also my goals and my expectations of myself are growing and becoming more interesting. And so that's kind of cool. The bar is moved. I have much more expectations on myself than I did before, and I'm meeting them quite well, I feel. And that just feels like magic.
Beautiful. I love that. Let me open up to our Project 90 clients to now ask you some questions, Janna. Thank you so much for answering mine. And can I just invite Project 90 clients, when you introduce yourself, just say your first name and then how many days alcohol free you are. So for example, it might be, John, day 52, for example, and then ask your question to Janna. Likewise, if you want to acknowledge Janna for something, feel free to do so. Who'd like to go first with a question or acknowledgement? Kathy, you look like you've got something to say.
Hi, Janna. I'm Kathy. Miami, 26 days alcohol free. Now, I had a question for Jen. She had mentioned about social. Do you feel that you needed to change your friends, or that was on your own that you felt like you made a change of acquaintances?
No, I didn't. I've changed how I socialize, I think. I haven't changed my friends at all. I do quite enjoy going to the bar with friends, when the pandemic allows, I guess. And what I do these days is, and I know there's other costs to drinking than just the cost of booze, but I figure I'm ahead of the game. So I tend to buy my friends drinks, and they really like that. So the friends that are friends because they're my friends, nothing's changed with that. there was some kind of drinking friends that have dropped off. I don't see them, and it's because that's what we did, right? So I found it was really cool being able to go to the bar and be able to not have that feeling like you're some kind of a weirdo, because you're not. And I really like how a number of my friends, when they have house parties, because I haven't really publicly announced this no drinking thing. I tell people sometimes, but my friends, they know, and they have started making these 0 proof drinks, and they've they care for me. They make these lovely things for me. So yeah, some of my friends have changed, but it's because they weren't the friends that are the forever friends. They're still forever friends. And during the pandemic, I don't know, I had no friends, so that was no problem. But or I guess it's still the pandemic. I don't know. It's all very confusing in Canada with the pandemic, and I'm sure it is all over the world. But yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. Does that answer your question?
Yeah,
yes.
It was probably more acquaintances that dropped off, and your true friends acknowledge and respect you, and you didn't really have to make any changes of your true friends.
Yeah, and I think probably work acquaintances who knew me, I'm pretty sure they knew I was drinking a bit too much, and I think they just quietly think that, oh, it's kind of nice that I'm not so loud anymore. So yeah, I wouldn't say that I feel any negative outcome friend wise. I feel very supported.
Good.
Great question, Kathy. Who else? Let's get some more questions.
Well, I feel lucky because I actually got to talk to you earlier. This is Evan, and I'm curious about your son and maybe how, I don't know, 2 years ago, how old he was then, and if there's been kind of any difference in your relationship with your son since you quit drinking. I've got 2 young kids at home too, and I'd love to get to that place where they don't even remember their dad ever drank. So
yeah, that's really cool. I think so in answer to your question, he's 8 now, so he was 6 then, and so I think timing wise it's quite good. I don't think he remembers a drinky mom, and so that's great. Or a drinky sad mom, right? It's so sad. And so as far as is it altruistic? There's a term, altruistic selfishness, where doing benefits for yourself helps others, or altruistic self-interest, I think is the thing. And that's how I feel when I picture my son's repercussions from this project. That's it. Like, he is massively gaining from a mom who gets up early on weekend days, or now I'm always the mom that goes swimming with the kids, or that makes the pancakes in the morning, or whatever kind of thing. And how lovely to be so wholesome and fun. And I certainly benefit from that. And he does too. Do you know what he called me the other day? He called me bro mom. I think that's pretty good accolades coming from an 8-year-old. Bro mom.
That's super cool. Very inspirational. Thank you.
Evan, how many days alcohol free are you, by the way?
5 days in the program, 15 days alcohol free.
Amazing. Congratulations. Round of applause for Evan, just for the little time out there. Good job, mate. Well done.
Thank you.
More questions or acknowledgements? Who wants to roll in with the question?
I just want to.
Well, Cody. We'll go Cody first. Sorry, Cody. How many days alcohol free are you, Cody?
Day 50 with Project 90, day 54, no alcohol. And rocking and rolling. Yeah.
Round of applause for Cody. Great job.
I'm over the hill now. I'm over. I went through my midlife crisis already. Just kidding, because that's not halfway, because halfway is I ain't going back. So Jenna, your story is very inspiring to me. I have a 10 and 6-year-old as well. And just like Evan said, I want to be that. I want most of their memories to be of a sober and very present and very qualitative father, And so I could just tell that you probably are just a kick-ass mom. And I just want to acknowledge the fact that you're the longest standing person that I've had come back on and heard this from. So it just feels really good to see it 2 years down the road, and that glow and that zest and that spunk and that excitement for life. And like, I think at the very end of like your initial dialogue, you had said, you talked about the Brené Brown quote, and like minding the gap with our bigger goals in life. But then you also kind of like brought it back to a personal level about having healthy expectations and really hitting that mark on a day-to-day basis. And that really resonated with me, like, because sometimes we get so lofty in thinking about that gap can feel so big in this moment, right? Where we have such a great scale of varying dreams and aspirations, from character qualities to, whatever it is, to financial stability, things of all sorts. But with the day-to-day stuff, the small victories, I think those are sometimes the most challenging to appreciate and challenging to capture. And when I was drinking, I never noticed them. Like, they kind of would go all under the rug, like the little tiny moments of magic of the day, of just showing up early, or getting up before my alarm, or picking out my outfit for work the night before, or just having things, doing the dishes well before I was, prompted by my better half. Like anything of that accord just feels, the small things I think are sometimes the biggest things. And I really sensed that in your story. So I just wanted to point that out and say that really touched me. So thanks.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
Great observation, Cody. Yeah, the small things we can so easily overlook, which is why I encourage all of our clients to be writing down the 20 things that we're grateful for each day, and for 20 reasons why we're awesome, so we can shine a light on those things and not sweep them under the rug, to borrow your phrase, Cody. So great observation there. Thank you for sharing that. Who else has got a question? Anna, you had a question, I think. How many days alcohol free are you, Anna?
29.
29. Round of applause for Anna, day 29. Great job. All right. To our podcast listeners, if you can't hear the round of applause, it's because most of our clients are on mute at the moment. But maybe next time when we do a round of applause, everyone can unmute themselves so we can bask in the glow of 12 people clapping their hands. Anna, you had a question.
Yeah, I have a few, but I'll try to narrow it down, or at least I'll start with a 2-part question. Janna, I'll just echo what everybody else has been saying. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us today. I think for me and probably other people, it's like a glimpse into our future. And it's just really great to see you thriving, 2 years beyond. So a couple of questions. One, what are some of the habits that you learned in the P90 program that you've stuck with? And then the second part of the question, which might be kind of the same, is what routines do you use to replace the previous bad habits that you had?
I think those positive affirmations are what I'd learned, and I did get better with doing visualizations. Like I said, I'm a creative person. It's something I really prize about myself, and I was able to use it as a tool to visualize what it's going to be like. What are my hopes and dreams? And so I found that very helpful. It was Kevin who was the coach when I was doing the P90, and Kevin he was just so calm and gentle, and like was it Cody was observing, interested in the little things and the little successes, and the idea of, what was he always saying, like, lean into thing. Lean into that feeling, Janna. Or and I found that is something that I guess I've practiced ever since then, and I continue to, is when I have, partly I think I was drinking too much because I have probably some kind of lifelong anxiety that I never managed very well. But the whole, when you get that feeling, that when I get that anxious feeling, I get Kevin's voice saying, lean into that, examine that feeling. What is it all about? Where is it coming from? And since then, I guess I feel like I'm getting better and better at doing that. And that is invaluable. And I do that through kind of visualizing. I visualize sort of surfing or something. So whatever, I'm a surfer in a different way than other people on this call. But I just imagine, like, I don't know, catching a wave and staying ahead of it, and really enjoying the feeling, I guess. And I think that perhaps is the biggest learning for me that's helped me with this, because perhaps this all crops up from some kind of lifelong anxiety that I can deal with better now. But there was a second part to your question. What was it?
Just unmute myself. What kind of routines have you developed to keep you from returning to old bad habits? Have those been pretty solidified by now? See, I just added in another question.
Yeah. Well, that's great. What James talked about is, being cognizant of your eating and your health and your exercise. If you're working on yourself with the idea, so you're awesome, can you be more awesome? So first you think about the alcohol part of that recipe, right? And then exercise and diet and all those kind of things. And so I guess building that recipe about what is the recipe that works for me to make sure that I have what I need to reach these goals that I set for myself. And sometimes also to question this goal thing, right? Do I need to always set relentlessly bigger goals? Do I really need to do that? And sometimes, yes, I do. But sometimes no. And it's like, you know what? Let's just put your son in that spot, right? And let that goal go, because it is actually not all that important. So I think the prioritizing is extremely helpful for me.
Thank you, Janna, and thanks for the questions, Anna. Who else? Question or acknowledgement?
I have a question.
Just introduce yourself by first name and how many days alcohol free you are. We get to call you Indo, right? It's Indo?
Yeah, Indo for sure. Yeah. So I'm Indo, day 5.
Round of applause. Unmute yourself, everyone. Let's get everyone. Day 5. Unmute. Clap.
Thank you. So I wanted to ask, you touched on like how you haven't really made it a public announcement, and that's like, for me, I'm fairly new to the program, and I thought about it a couple of times, just being around like my loved ones, like my brother, my sister-in-law, and I haven't mentioned it because for me it's something very personal, and like I don't know, I just am kind of doing it for myself really at the moment, and so I just want to know, like, during your time going through P90, like how did you deal with like telling others or keeping it to yourself, and like why did you choose one over the other?
I think I would certainly tell people if I had to, like if they were handing a drink to me, or else I'd say no, thank you. I did talk to my work colleagues and requested their support really strongly, because part of the reason I was doing the project is so I could keep my job. Like like I said, my trajectory was turning the wrong way, and I really needed, like, just all of a sudden, it was quite surprising. And I think sometimes things like that happen quite quickly. And so I had to just really kind of yoink the wheel back onto a positive direction. And I did need all of their help, because what I needed to do was not have work stress for a little while I just focused on this thing that was very new. I found that when I did things, kind of everything that I did for a little while, I felt a bit like a debutante, sort of, what is it called? Debutante, sort of present yourself to society, right? I think it's a Southern thing. When you're whatever age and you present yourself to society. I felt like I was doing that, and I sort of did it secretly, but I felt a bit like, this is the new Janna. You may not know that I'm new. I know that I'm new, and I'm just going to see what this is like, because this is really cool. And through that period, I was just kind of setting new habits, and sometimes talking to people if I felt like it. But you're right. I also felt like it was a private thing, and I did also have, and maybe I still do, there's some kind of shame attached to it, which I try and think about why that is, because, how can you feel like you're totally awesome and have part of how you view yourself have a bit of shame involved, right? And so that's, I think, why I'm thinking right now, what is the way I can say this? Because people that I have talked to, a number of them have actually quit drinking, and I have sent, I've really taken a positive leadership role with friends and at work and all kinds of situations. And I guess I want to share it correctly, which I am pleased that James is turning this into a podcast, because I may well just say, like, look at this. People would be like, what the heck? As far as shame stuff, I think it's to do with that I felt a bit out of control, and I don't like feeling out of control, and I don't like that I could get out of control. So I don't really like to say that there was any kind of problem or something to improve. I don't know. That's so, but also there's something quite brave, I guess, in recognizing there's a problem and in changing it and in improving. So, and again, with that altruistic self-interest, I'm benefiting myself certainly with this whole project, and everybody else seems to get a piece of that too, which is really cool. It's really cool, but it definitely is a sensitive part, and I'm really glad you asked that, because I often wonder about it, and sometimes I say kind of weird things. If somebody catches me off guard, I'll say something dumb like, I never drink, or I don't know. It doesn't happen too often, but then I feel weird, and I'm like, gosh, what do I do now? I guess it just takes time to figure out this stuff, and I think James just had like was it 10 years, James, which is pretty cool, and I'm looking forward to seeing year 3 and 4 and 5 and stumbling and bumbling my way through stuff. It's really great, because there you go.
Thank you.
Thanks for the question, Indo, and thank you, Janna. Who else?
Hey, Janna, Ian here, day 90.
Day 90 for Ian. Unmute yourself, everyone, and do a big shout out. Like, woo!
Yes.
Hey,
Yeah.
thank you. Janna, congratulations on year 2, and thanks very much for sharing your journey so far with us. I have a 2-parter question as well. I wanted to ask you about day 91. Did you know on day 91 that you were going to do day 180, day 270, day 365, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5? And how did it feel having graduated and going out there into the big bad world to do all these, reach all these extra milestones, having moved on from P90?
I think on day 91, well, what Kevin had said is it's kind of hard to sign up for doing something forever, but you can have attainable bits of time. And he suggested, as the 90 days progressed, that you just think of it as, oh, this is something that I'm doing right now for a certain period of time. And that works well for me. I think I can start to think of drinking as just something that I don't do, rather than putting a time to it. And sometimes I might say, oh, well, maybe it's something I'll do again. But I think it's just not. It's just not something I want to do again. It's like a date gone badly. And so I think I could just leave it at that. It's okay. Well, I learned what that's like, and I'm just not going to do that again. So I think that answers both parts of your question, does it not?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
Thanks, Janna.
Just a little side question, Ian, as you're on day 90 now, what are your thoughts about what you're going to do from here?
It's just incredible, the transformation in myself from day 1 to day 90, and the way I'm feeling now, like this could be day 1. I have a plan for the next 90 days. I have a plan for the 90 days after that, and for after that, and none of those periods involves alcohol at all. I just wanted to be part of history now, and very, very much like Janna, I've no desire. I've no desire to drink anything. I was even thinking yesterday, I could get another 90 days out of it by doing a reset, but I just didn't want to drink a glass of wine. Yeah.
Oh.
So it's great. It's great to feel like that at the end of this initial part of the journey.
Thank you, Ian.
Yeah, I agree. It seems like it's not something that I ever actively avoided since I started this P90 group, because it was a positive shift in thinking. And so that seems to me that for me that worked. And so far it's stuck, and it seems like it will for some time to come.
Thank you, Janna. Thank you, Ian. Someone else got a question?
Yeah, I've got a question.
Yeah, Dave. How many days alcohol free are you, Dave?
Oh God, I need a calculator. Hang on. No, for me, 2 years on February the 18th, whatever that was. So, yeah. So, and I say alcohol.
Dave first. Round of applause and some woohoo for Dave, by the way. Great job.
Yes. Woo.
Bring it on. I say alcohol free because for me, and this is part of my question, Janna, whether you felt this and how you would express this yourself, but for me, I never really chose to drink alcohol. Someone or something or some society here in Australia or advertising or whatever it was seemed to make that decision for me. So I never until I met James, and he invited me to his alcohol-free weekend in Venice Beach 2 years ago, last February or March, perhaps it was. And I kid you not, this is what happened. I met him, and I said, hey, can I have a coffee with you? He said, no, I'm too busy for a coffee. Why don't you come to my event? I'll send you a link. So he sent me a link. I clicked on the link, and I kid you not, I looked at the screen. The screen said alcohol-free living. And I was looking at this thinking, holy crap, I've never even thought of that for myself. Like it was never anything that I even thought was a thing. And all of a sudden it became a possibility that I could choose not to drink as opposed to drinking. So Janna, have you felt that you've now got a choice, and this is a continual choice that you're making not to drink, whereas before it was a situation that you never really chose, you just did it because it was a habit that was so strongly ingrained? How would you express that to someone else about the freedom that's come from now being empowered, where you can choose, or you can choose to, or you can choose not to?
I think that idea of choice is very real, because I feel like I didn't really have a choice before, and I don't really know what the reason was. I think it was partly that I'd set habits, partly it was a bit of armor. We all put up our armor in different ways, and certainly going to something and having a glass of wine between you and the other people, there's something about that that at the time I felt helpful, and I didn't know how to not have that piece of armor. But it turns out life is more fun without that kind of armor. So I think that word choice is exactly right. Knowing that, knowing that you can do it without those kind of unhelpful helpers, right? Like shitty helpers. So yeah, I think you're right. And did you go to that alcohol-free thing, or was that the one that was canceled?
No, I went.
Oh, you lucky guy, because there was the one, maybe it was just the last year one that got canceled. And I was so excited. I was going to go. I was even going to go with a friend. And it was pretty, I was very much looking forward to it. And so I hope there's another one coming up. I know that there's all kinds of considerations, but I was so looking forward to that, because I was like, man, it'll be so cool to meet all these people that I've met in person on these calls, and then all these other people that are just circling around within this idea. So sometime soon, but I get to meet y'all here. That's very cool as well. Thank you very much as well for having me here.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, Dave attended the 2019 one, and then I have this weekend, alcohol-free weekend, wellness weekend, where we in Venice Beach, California, and we it's like a conference for a couple of days, but then we also go out on the beach and do some beach dancing, and we go for a hike up in the Santa Monica Mountains area, and everyone gets to connect, and it's a completely alcohol-free weekend, and it was a great experience. Sadly, I had to cancel it because of the pandemic in 2020. And yes, we will be doing another one as soon as things start to open up a little bit. So yeah. All right. Well, great. Well, thank you so much for your questions to our Project 90 clients. And thank you so much to Janna for sharing your experience and your guide, and having your guidance and your expertise on being 2 years alcohol free. And congratulations, Janna. It's amazing. I mean, it's personally amazing for me to see someone become a client and then 2 years down the line just see how they are and their way of being so much energy and happiness and clarity and focus. It's just a real gift for me to see that. And I so appreciate you, Janna, for sharing with our clients and with our podcast listeners. So thank you.
Thank you very much. This has just been the best thing ever. Good couple of years. I'm looking forward to the next whole bunch of years like this.
Yeah, amazing. I want to just go around quickly. If anyone needs to leave because we've gone over time, feel free to. That's no problem. But I just want to ask that, would anyone like to share what they discovered or learned on this call? What felt valuable about this particular call? If you want to just share what felt valuable, just unmute yourself and share, and we'll go around the group and maybe do 3 people. Clients are pondering. They're pondering. I can see their brains processing. Ian, go for it.
Janna, I just think it's so reassuring to see somebody like yourself who's so comfortable in their own skin, not drinking, because I'm sure I speak for everybody, but when we start this quest, there's an uneasiness that takes time to shake off, and there's anticipated uncomfort about, okay, I have to go out in next week, and how do I get over that? And for me, there was a couple of hurdles. How will I go out and meet my friends in the park? How will I go out with my workmates when we're sitting down having a meal at the end of the day? And family reunions and things like that. But as time goes on, certainly over these 90 days, those hurdles just got smaller and smaller. And I got more comfortable and comfortable in those situations. But just watching you and hearing you over the last hour or so, it's quite clear that you're very comfortable in your skin and you're very comfortable not drinking, regardless of who you're with or what you're doing. And I just think that that's very, very reassuring.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Ian. Someone else want to share what felt valuable about this call today?
Yeah, sure. I'll just jump in. Cody out of Oakland. I really, some of your like phrases that you said in your stories were really stuck with me. I wrote them down, like altruistic self-interest. I love that, because we talked about on previous podcast episodes with James, like healthy selfish, right? Being healthy selfish, because it's like, no, I'm doing this for myself. I'm standing up and reclaiming, kind of re-empowering myself and making a choice for me. That's what I'm doing. And so I love this sense of altruistic self-interest. And I love that how you coined that. I also love how you coined like, phrases are my favorite thing. So like language is one of my favorite things. So attainable bits of time. You're like, I'm not worried about if this is going to be forever. It's just an attainable bit of time. It's very casual and very achievable, right? It's very Kaizen. It's like, I'm doing this right now and that's that. And it doesn't have to be this whole, what am I going to do when I go to a wedding 5 years from now? Or what am I going to do one day when I'm retired and I want to own a vineyard? You know, what am I going to do when all of these kind of ideas that come up in our head, that alcohol is always there and showing its face. And I just like how you're like, no, this attainable amount of time, this bite-sized tangible thing that I can express myself right here today and meet that expectation. So again, Janna Banana, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, it really was an honor to listen to you. Thank you so much for rocking and shining your light. And I'm going to do the same. That's all. I just wanted to say that. So really no question or anything, just a sense of acknowledgement again.
Amazing, Cody. Thank you, mate. One person want to share what they discovered or what felt valuable for them, or an acknowledgement? One more?
I think what Ian and I were talking about earlier about him showing up as a really good dad this last week, and his being 5 and 6, and Janna's being 6. And I think having older kids, I think that your young kids will only see you and remember you in this wonderful positive light and strong. And I wish I could have had that, but you know what? It's never too late, and I can start today and I can go forward. And I've already seen positive change in 64 days with my 20 somethings. And it's a big thing. I think our families and our kids and our husbands and our spouses and our everybody, the influence we're having on them. So I really liked you sharing that. That was great. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheila. And I love that what you said there. You can start today. It's never too late. And this is just for our listener on the podcast. If you would like to start today, you'd like to have a conversation about joining us in Project 90, I'll give you a couple ways you can do that. You can book an exploratory phone call with one of our amazing coaches. And the website for that is alcoholfreelifestyle.com/schedule. There we go. Someone's got a cool little ringtone in the background there for dramatic effect. That website is alcoholfreelifestyle.com/schedule. You can book a time to speak to one of our coaches. We'll ask you a few questions and then we'll call you. Or if you're in the US and you're on a mobile phone, you can text me at the number 44222. Just text me the word Project 90 and I will text you back the link where you can schedule that exploratory call. Janna, thank you so much again for your time. We'll let you go now, and we'll do a sign off here without you, just with our clients. But Janna, thank you so much again. Really appreciate you, and onwards and upwards. We'll have you back here on 3 years alcohol free, 4 years, and 5 years maybe.
Totally. Let's do it. That sounds great. I totally can't wait to meet all of you guys at the beach disco in Venice Beach, whenever it is. I'm looking forward to it. Cool.
Thank you, Janna. You can depart
I'm
now.
going.
All right. See you, Janna.
Oh,
Take
I'm
care.
almost
Bye.
going.
There we go. All right. Wonderful. Well, that was great, guys. That feel good? I see lots of smiling faces.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Oh yeah.
I love it. So what I'm going to invite you guys to do now is when we hang up here in a second, just go on to Marco Polo and just share what felt valuable, because obviously we've got clients who weren't on this particular call or couldn't make it for whatever reason. Remember, the fastest way to learn anything is to teach it. So I invite you to go and teach it right now by just hanging up on the Zoom call, going on to Marco Polo, recording a little selfie video and sharing it with our other members who weren't able to be here. That will both help them and it will help reinforce what you just learned in your own brain. Sound good? All right, guys. It was so great to see you. And we'll see you on one of the next calls. And I'll see you on. All right. See you guys. Bye.
All right, see
Take
you.
care, y'all.
Congrats, Ian.
Yes. Good up.
Congrats, Ian.
Actually, Ian, stay here on the call. I'm just going to press stop on the podcast and I'll talk to you now privately to congratulate you on your 90 days. See you, Anna. And to the podcast listener, thank you so much for listening and we'll catch you on the next one. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I want to load you up with some free stuff. If you look in the show description, there's a link there to get my guide, which is the Alcohol Freedom Formula Guide. And in that guide, I will walk you through the process and system for successfully reducing or quitting alcohol. It's the same system and process that I give to my clients inside of Project 90. And if you would like to get your hands on that guide, you can click the link in the description part of this episode, or you can go to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/guide. Likewise, if you would like to be considered for Project 90 to join our community and get some accountability, some coaching and have fun, achieve some goals over at least 90 days with our help and support, then you're invited to schedule a complimentary coaching call with one of my coaches. You can do that by clicking the link in the show description or going to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/schedule. Now, Project 90 is for over 30s only, and it's really for people who are ready to get long-term power over alcohol. You don't have to quit forever, but you will have to quit for at least 90 days with our support. Just a reminder, 95% of my content is free and plastered all over the internet. If you just Google James Swanwick and the word alcohol, you'll find that. For those of you who want additional support, if you want coaching, fun, accountability, if you realize that you can't do this on your own or you just plain don't want to, then I invite you to schedule that call and we can talk about if Project 90 is for you. If you would like to take some of my supplements, swanvitality.com is the website. I'll put a link in the show notes as well. I have a liver support product called Loving Liver, which I designed and specially formulated to help remove toxins from your liver after years of alcohol consumption. Again, there's a link in the show description. We've also got a green powder there, which turns into a green juice filled with amazing ingredients to support you and give you energy throughout the day. And there's also a magnesium product, which I take every night to help me prepare for sleep and to sleep through the night. So there's a few options there. Lastly, if this episode or the show in general has helped you or supported you in any way, I would so appreciate it if you would write a review. It really does help the show climb the rankings and expose the show to people who don't yet know about us. So if this show has benefited you in any way and you feel compelled to pay it forward, just writing a short little review, hopefully a nice one, will be so appreciated and I will thank you immensely. Lastly, if you'd like to talk to me about anything at all, feel free to send me an email at james@alcoholfreelifestyle.com. I do read and respond to every email. And you can also follow me on Instagram at James Swanwick. Send me a message there. And I look forward to connecting with you soon. Catch you on the next one.